So we're ready to move ahead with the next phase of investigation. And what we've prepared for you is 3 questions that the panelists did have access to ahead of time. And we'll pose the question to the panel and give everybody a few minutes to speak on that question. And then please feel free, as you're listening, to think back from our check-in about what intentions you might have, so that at the end, as you're listening, you might have some follow-up questions for them. We'll save some time for that. And in between, I will do my best to make service learning connections where applicable. So the first question that we have for our panelists today is why should poverty in Los Angeles matter to us? And to introduce the people who are going to be speaking to this, we have Allison with us today, and she comes to us from Stories from the Frontline as well, and communities and the Corporation for Supportive Housing, which is where Millie came to us from. We have Lupe, and she's here from MEND, and we have Tim. He is here from Friends Indeed, and we have Frank, who is here from United Way. So I'm going to allow you to share your thoughts on why should poverty in Los Angeles matter to us?
Hi, I'm Allison, and do I just sit? Okay. With the explosion of the crisis of homelessness in our city, and on the simple, I used to have a 5-block commute to drive my children to school, and now I have about a mile or 2-mile commute that I drive my children to school. We see many people on the street on our commute, and I have we have to recognize and we have to talk to our children, because I think this is about talking to children, whether they be high schoolers or junior high schoolers or elementary school and even preschool level. Because as Millie said, you have no idea how somebody happened into that situation. Some of our Speak Up advocates, one in particular, had a medical catastrophe and eventually found herself homeless. Other people have, a terrible situation as a child, and just to get out of that childhood situation, a homeless life was more applicable. So by talking to my children and talking to my community, which is what Stories from the Frontline is we're talking to our community to get them to support supportive housing and low-income housing, to educate so that they have an idea that poverty is not a choice, it's a circumstance.
I'm the volunteer director of this nonprofit organization called MEND. And yay, thank you. Yay. So it's easy to talk about volunteers, how to find them, how to train them. And when I was asked to come to do this, I'm not the expert at MEND. I've been at MEND for 25 years. And everything I know about poverty is through my volunteers. So the rest of the staff there are not able to be here because they have a special training, and because Lupe doesn't take care of the recipients. I don't need that training. Yeah, I need the training so I can come and talk to you guys. But I'm gonna tell you what the volunteers say. And I talked to some of them as soon as I found out that I was gonna come. And I thought this room was gonna be full of children. So I'm gonna educate the children. And I hope I can educate all of you. I want to say that when I talk to the volunteers and I say, why are you guys scared about making a difference in this community? And I always concentrate in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, which is the area that we serve. They say, it's our home, it's our community. We need to make a difference. And it takes each and every one of us to make a difference in our community. So we're in Encina right now, right? Whoever's in this area, you take care of your area, because me, the volunteers, and the rest of the staff, we're trying to take care of the Northeast San Fernando Valley. But I wanted to say to the children, wherever you are, there's always going to be poverty. We're not going to eliminate that. That would be men's dream come true. But if each of us make a difference and do whatever we think we can do to make a difference, then we can ask others, look, I'm doing this. What is it that you're going to do? We cannot ask others to do something else when you're not moving a finger. So that's what I wanted to say to the children, so I hope you guys do it too.
Hi, I'm Tim from Friends Indeed. I think the simplest thing for me about poverty and why I even got involved with this, because this is not anything I studied or went to school for, and I broke it down when one of the students asked me, why do I do this? And I said, well, hunger is stupid. I'm a food pantry director. That's what I deal with, which is also part of poverty. But it's really that simple. We can have conversations about hunger and poverty globally, but here in the United States, we have 1 in 6, 1 in 7 people going to bed every night without enough to eat. And many of them are women and children, or seniors now is growing. And that's just not acceptable. We should all realize that. And I think you all probably have a good idea on that, at least in your approach to this, which I think is fantastic. So why should poverty in LA matter to us? Well, we're community. Northeast, San Gabriel Valley, and see, it doesn't matter. We have our small communities, and from that we are bigger communities. And from that, we should care about each other. We don't always do it. I'm not saying we're all perfect about it, but we should be there for one another in the drive to end poverty, to end hunger. The greatest thing would be if I was out of a job because, well, hell, everybody would have enough to eat. That's not going to happen, but we can address it and work together. And then there's another side of poverty that we should think about too, and it's more of people that don't get enough to eat or don't have a place to live or whatever. They're more likely to get sick. They're more likely to go to the emergency room for solving, or not take care of problems as it is. That ends up affecting all of us on so many different levels. And so in dealing with poverty, we're just dealing with being human, and we should all care about what our neighbor is, whatever your spiritual, religious background is, do unto others and just, take care of one another.
Hi, my name is Frank. I'm with the United Way and the Everyone In campaign. Kind of reflecting on this question, why does poverty matter? To me, specifically in Los Angeles, but also across the nation and the globe. I'll kind of bring it back to the classroom level. I have 2 young daughters, 5 and 2. One of them is going to be going to the kindergarten next year, and learning more about in the school system, there's free and reduced lunch. We don't know who's getting free and reduced lunch in the schools, but there are people who are experiencing hunger, they're experiencing kind of housing instability or even homelessness, but we don't know. We might have an idea. That's one thing. I think reflecting back in my own experience growing up, 2 immigrant parents coming from Bolivia and the Philippines, and really struggling to do paycheck by paycheck, month to month. Going to school in Shelland Elementary in Roland Heights, we didn't have uniforms, so we kind of looked around the room, scanned around the room, and as a young kid, teasing two classmates of wearing the same clothes over and over again. Lisa and Ramon, they're always wearing the same sweater. And then always trying to justify, well, I wash it every day, or this is my story, or whatever, I'm sticking to it. But always having this kind of teasing. And even in my situation economically with our family of dad working long hours, getting home at 9, mom taking the bus to and from the RTD, MTA, and getting home at 7:30, and then we finally eat dinner at like 10:30. That was our normal life. In my own economic situation, finding those who are even less than and putting them down. I think the reason why we need to focus on poverty is because everyone has value, equal value. And I think when we are experiencing that type of poverty or instability or insecurity, we look at our own self-worth and value in different ways of, oh wow, I wish I could do things really great like that person. Or they have a better education, they have probably a higher salary. Why does it feel like I'm always running in quicksand? Is there ever, and this is me speaking personally, is there ever a time that I could actually get out of that and feel like I'm getting ahead? For me, and I'll close with this, I think about how I sleep. I connect sleep with poverty in a sense of, I lose sleep at night because I think about how am I going to survive with my family in LA? Because the cost of living is high and rent is just skyrocketing. How are we going to survive and how am I going to stay in my home, and home being Los Angeles? So I lose sleep over that insecurity and instability. While others, who are probably higher in their economic kind of chain, they're losing sleep for either maintaining the wealth or protecting the wealth. I'm losing sleep about how am I going to attain more so that I can take care of my family. And I know that people struggle with that, and we ought to work together to figure out ways that we can support, be that support network, be that stability, so that people can find their own value and get ahead.